We are going to have a group exhibition. That means that we'll all be putting our art together in one place for people to enjoy. This exhibition is inspired by Yayoi Kusama, and each of us will have a room in the exhibit. The viewer will be able to look into your box and pretend they are in a room with your art. Because the viewer will have so many things to look at, you want to be sure that yours fits as part of the exhibition, but also leaves an impression on someone after they look at it. Which one of these kind of stays in your memory and why? I want to show you behind the scenes of one of these boxes. While I built it, I had to make sure that it would close, and then I had to get into the box to make sure that it looked good from the angle that I was creating it. I think one last thing I'll do is add a mirror to the ceiling in that box. You can decide to hide your lights behind things or have them be out in the open. It's all up to you. So here's the box, and here's how it opens. You can leave that front flap whole until you're ready to put it on display. It's kind of a nice way to hide and keep all your contents inside until you're ready to show people. When you have lights, you will have to very carefully unwind them, otherwise you end up with a tangle you cannot undo. And this is the only lights you're going to get, so you'll have to use those lights. By careful, I mean take your time, untwist things in a slow way. You might need to remove a plastic and make sure they work. Your lights are going to come from the front. So if you want to, you can kind of open the side, make sure your light switch pokes out of the front, and then kind of bring it into your box from that area. You don't have to do it this way, but this is one cool way to do it. Another way is just have it go in through the front window. So that brings my lights about halfway into the box. And after I set that up, I can start to line my box with my installation art. At the end of the project, I can cut a window into my box. So with it closed, I can use a little tracer and use a pencil to show where I'm going to make my cut. I really only need to cut that top to create a hole. So look at what I do here. I'm just going to bring down some legs that'll be hidden behind the bottom wall. And then it's easy to use a sawing motion with a cardboard knife. And again, this doesn't have to happen until you're at the very end of your project to cut this hole. I like leaving these legs down in front because then the box will close right to the right spot, and you can open and close your box a lot of times to make adjustments when you need to, and it'll always close right down into the right spot. So that's how that closes and leaves a window. Once your box is ready to go, it's time to think of how you will use multiples inside. You will have access to paper, scissors, all kinds of adhesives. One way to make multiples is to fold paper and cut out many of one shape. One way of making multiples is just to draw something multiple times, like I did with those dashes on the pink paper. So I could end up with an all pink black hairy box. I can end up with a lightning box, or I could end up with a green leafy box. These are just 3 different box ideas using multiples. Here I'm using a glue stick to glue paper to paper. You'll also have access to tacky glue, which glues fabric pieces or some heavier items if you have time for it to dry. And you also have access to a glue gun, which has hot glue. And you will, of course, get to use a mirror in your box. So just showing the beginning of how you can make multiples quickly and adhere them into your pieces. And this is yet another option for multiples. You might have many of a thing, like I have many of these little plastic diamonds, and I'm using the tacky glue here to adhere them to a piece of paper. This is so much easier to do it on paper first before putting it into the box. Once you have your multiples, it's time to put them in the box. Take your time, don't be hasty. I finagled and made sure the paper would be very flat and then adhere it. I put a mirror on top of this idea. Notice the mirror sits all the way back into the box. Since my eyes won't notice, the mirror's a little bit short right up at the front of the box. I trimmed the flaps on the cardboard roof so that the roof can close where there is some obstructions in the way. And I'm gonna make sure my front doorway goes tucked inside. And ooh, that flap over there has to be carefully tucked inside as well. You might need a friend. Always take your time, make sure things are laying flat. I had to trim a lot, but here's the view inside the box. I can see from one angle here, so I can make sure the lights are hidden if I want that. I can make sure if a full mirror is showing. And you'll always have to check to see what it looks like to peek into your box. You can use a piece of Velcro to adhere your lights to the front bottom right corner so that people can find your lights really easily. And you can put your name in the lower right-hand corner, but leave room for a one-word title. By the end of your project, hopefully you can think of one word, maybe a feeling or an idea, to title your artwork.